Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Feel free to write to me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any question regarding to this video or any other videos that I've posted in the past. If you have any video that you would like me to make, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. This video actually is a good example, which is a response to a question by the viewer. The viewer asked me, can I make a dish which he called it beef with lobster sauce? Now, it might be kind of strange when you think about beef combined with the term lobster sauce. But it turned out that actually there's a very popular dish known as shrimp with lobster sauce. Although I have never cooked beef lobster sauce before, but with my fast cooking system using template-based cooking, I quickly figured out how to cook this dish. So basically, I can use the same template. Now, beef is relatively expensive, and there are many different cuts of beef. And the cut of beef that I find it to be probably the best for stir frying is top sirloin steak. Now, there are other cuts. One cut which is also very popular is the flank steak. Now, top sirloin steak is a steak that has sufficient amount of fat to give it a nice soft texture. Now, here is where advanced prepping comes to be really helpful. When I get the beef from the supermarket, I will chop them up into the pieces that are suitable for stir frying. As you notice here, there's a little bit of a knack in cutting the beef. You want to cut it across the grain. That will keep the beef a little bit more tender when you cook them. And then after I cook them, I will portion them into about 8 ounces. And this portion, to me, is just about right. I use the beef more as a condiment rather than as a main ingredient. This will allow you to actually not only reduce your consumption of beef and make it a bit less expensive, but it also will allow you to have beef anytime you want. So I freeze them in such a way that will allow me to thaw them out really easily, and usually it will take me only about 10 minutes to thaw them out. I put them in a Ziploc sandwich bag, and I fill the bag about maybe 1/4 to 1/3 to its capacity. Then I'm able to press out the air and spread it into a thin layer. Now, this actually turned out to be really useful, and that is where advanced prepping, I think, has a great advantage. So in this case, I can purchase the beef when they're on sale, which I did with this portion of beef, and I can just put them into various portions, so I can have beef available to me over a period of a couple months. So you spend about maybe half an hour to 45 minutes to prep them, then you will be able to use them anytime you want. And this is where advanced prepping really will help you to make your home cooking more efficient. And at the same time, it will allow you to have more diverse dishes, because with advanced prepping of beef, you can also advanced prep other proteins as well, including chicken, pork, fish, and all of this can be frozen away in the portion that you want. So when you're ready to use them, you can pick the one that you feel the best. So advanced prepping is truly a very important technique. It is an important part of the fast cooking system. If you would like to make home cooking as part of your daily routine, the best thing is that you will be able to walk in the kitchen and have all the ingredients ready to you, at least within about a few minutes. So you can focus your energy and also your effort in cooking. And usually stir frying is far more fun than prepping. So by putting the prepping all together at one time, and then when you're ready to stir fry, you can focus on the part that you probably find the greatest pleasure. Using this method, I can still enjoy beef, but the most important aspect is that I will not overconsume beef, and at the same time, I will be able to keep my food within budget. So I can still eat whatever I want, but with much better control, both in terms of the financial standpoint as well as from the health standpoint. In cooking this dish, the most important part is the beef. Beef actually is quite challenging to cook, because if you overcook beef, then they will become tough, and you need to be very careful. Now, particularly when the beef are cut into thin slices, they cook very rapidly. And here I'm going to demonstrate the technique that I find work extremely well in cooking beef to the texture that you want. First of all, I'm going to cook this in my Cuisinart 14-inch stainless steel wok. You want to use a cookware that you can really bring up the temperature, because the first step in cooking the beef is to sear the meat. And searing the meat, for obvious reasons, you need to have high temperature. So I'm going to heat up the oil as much as I can, and I will let it to reach its smoking point. I let it smoke for about somewhere between 15 to 20 seconds. Actually, this is the time when I season the wok. Then I put the beef directly into the wok, and I use a pair of tongs to manipulate the beef. Now, first I want to mention that you want the beef as dry as possible. And to enhance its dryness, I coat the beef with a thin layer of cornstarch. Cornstarch tends to absorb moisture, and this will keep the beef dry. Now you notice that this is in real time, and now my wok is set at the highest temperature. And at this point, I'm also start adding the carrots. You notice that the beef is only about maybe medium rare to medium, but I add the vegetable at this point. The reason is that because if you let the beef to cook at high temperature, it will cause them to overcook very rapidly. Now, the first step is to searing the meat. That will allow me to seal in some of the flavor of the beef. And then the next part is to cook the beef slowly. And the way to cook them slowly is to add other ingredients to it. In this case, I add the carrot and the green bean. Now, this is another trick to that, because carrot and green bean take much longer time to cook. So I blanch them in advance to the texture that I want. So this step is really just using them to modulate the temperature of the beef, and a quick few stir, it is done. And now the beef is right at medium rare. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. The next step is to make the sauce. I'm going to make the sauce directly in the wok. I turn down the heat. Still, I'm afraid the wok is too hot. So I add a bit of water to cool down the wok. Okay, next is that I'm going to add a cornstarch water suspension. The sauce starts to thicken almost immediately. Therefore, I add some hot water, and this will help me to dilute it to the consistency that I want. Now, making a sauce is sometimes a lot of guesswork. You better start out with something that is relatively thick, because you can always thin it out by adding additional water. So the next part is to season the sauce. Again, there's many ways to approach this. I'm going to use a combination, something that I am familiar with, which is a combination of oyster sauce and hoisin sauce. I decided that to make sure that I have the saltiness that I want, I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce. This is the medium soy sauce, which is the Kikkoman type of soy sauce. And I'm going to use my wok spatula to mix everything up as much as possible. The next step is to create an egg drop in this sauce, which is characteristic of this lobster sauce. I turn off the burner completely because one of the characteristics of this lobster sauce is the egg drop feature. And what I did is that I a little bit egg at a time when I stirred it, and this will give the egg this thread-like characteristics. Now, it is important that you want to keep your heat as low as possible. Now, if you use an electric burner, you might want to move the wok away from the burner, because the electric burner will continue to provide heat. If you have too much heat, this thread-like characteristic of this dish will not maintain. So I'm going to add a little bit more water and to dilute it to the texture that I want. And then, okay, the last step is that I mix everything together, and this will create that very classical characteristics of this lobster sauce, which is a sauce that contains egg drops in it. I did a taste test, and it's pretty much the way how I would like it, but I decided I'm going to add a little bit of the dark soy sauce. The dark soy sauce will darken the color of the sauce, which may be more characteristics of a dish like this. And a quick few stir, the dish is done. So this dish is actually created in 3 different steps. The first step is to blanch the vegetables to the texture that I would like. And the second step is to stir fry the beef. And I use the vegetables to control the temperature of the beef to create the type of texture that I want. And this will allow me to keep the beef nice, moist, and tender. And of course, the final step is to create the lobster sauce. Now, this might seem to be a complicated dish, but it basically is a template of how to create lobster sauce for almost any type of dish that you want. For example, you can create this lobster sauce for a tofu dish, or you can create this lobster sauce for a vegetable dish, such as a stir-fry cauliflower or broccoli dish. The possibility is almost infinite, and this is the best thing about home cooking. It will allow you to use a basic template and make modifications. Once you know how to apply this sauce, you can use it in many different situations and lead to almost infinite possibilities. And the last step, I would like to garnish the dish with a little bit of dark soy sauce. It will give the dish some nice color. And at the end, I'm always like to use some scallions. This is the stem part of the scallions. It not only will enhance the flavor of the dish, but it also makes the dish more attractive. So this is the approach of my fast cooking system. Basically, through tempeh-based cooking, you can create many different versions of a basic template. So I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine. If you'd like to learn more about this cooking system, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. So keep on cooking, and I will see you tomorrow.